Welcome to Recruiting Intel on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com. We had three guys on here. Was supposed to be you, me, and Justin, Coach Dub, but a little disconnection. We wonder if they ran out of internet in East Texas. Either way, make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're going to talk a little bit about 2027 prospects today because, as odd as it sounds, this is the time of year where a lot of those 2027 prospects are kind of like, you know what, these are the schools I'm going to pay attention to. And it's important to get in front of those guys, especially as we're going to talk about two different guys from the DFW Metroplex, both top players at their position. And Coach, just to kind of get a little introduction on it, you talked to a few DFW coaches. We all heard Steve Sarkisian shout out the Metroplex. And that was something that all those coaches sounded like they took pretty well over the course of after hearing about that.
Yeah, definitely. I think it strokes some egos, but it's always a good thing. You see a head coach of University of Texas on a national stage, shout out your Metroplex where you coach at, right? All these coaches in the DFW area, they talk to one another, right? They all just support the kids. They want to see the kids do well. But when you got a coach like Steve Sarkisian using that platform to talk about the DFW coaches and the players from the DFW who did well in the Red River rivalry, that's huge. And it's kind of sends shockwaves, and they love that. And that's how you get buy-in. That's how you continue to build those relationships here in the DFW area. And I think it's really helped. You look at some other programs. We play OU. OU used to be very prominent in the DFW area, always getting 10 or 12 guys. And you kind of seen that die down. And so Sark just gets it. And a couple of coaches said that, like, he really understands the politics and understands the relationships that you have to build in the DFW area to get those kids. And so I thought it was huge that he said that.
So we bring Justin Wells back in, talking a little bit about some of the DFW guys and some of the players that made their way to the Cotton Bowl. One of the big ones, a name known throughout Dallas, that is Cooper Witten, goes to Liberty Christian in Argyle, Texas, and got to see the Cotton Bowl, got to see Texas play the Sooners. He had seen the Sooners before, I think, and now I got to look at the Longhorns, and great impression Texas had to have made on Cooper Witten.
Yeah, so there's a handful of these top 2027 guys where Texas is kind of climbing their way into the recruitment. Cooper Witten's one of those. He just doesn't profile typically to Austin, Texas. That's kind of his MO. He's big on Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas A&M, Clemson, like all kind of the small town atmosphere in a sense. And I think this was good for Texas because he was impressed. He was impressed by the defense. He was impressed by Anthony Hill Jr., Ty Anthony Smith. He was paying attention to those guys on the field, their assignments, kind of how they were operating. And that was noteworthy to him. He's the number one linebacker in the country. He's also a two-way guy. Like, the kid can catch everything on the offensive side of the ball. But Texas is, someone asked us at Inside Texas yesterday, why is Texas behind on this guy or some other guys? Some guys are just trying to catch up with. I just don't know if Witten profiles to Texas as well. Like, if he followed Tyler Atkinson, you're looking at just an unbelievable haul, but Texas has a long way to go to climb back into this recruitment. I think they did enough. They're supposed to potentially get him back on campus in late November for the Texas A&M game. But if they can do well against Oklahoma in his eyes, and then they can do well against A&M in his eyes, maybe that could help jumpstart Texas into this recruitment a little bit more.
When it comes to the fact that he is Jason Witten's son, how much, Justin, does that kind of affect things? How big is Tennessee? And then, are there the DFW teams making an impact in this one?
It definitely makes an impression from the Tennessee side. If you were to say, Justin, what RPM would you put in today? I'm putting it in the Vols, man. Rocky Top. Like, I think this kid would follow where his dad is. Now, the close schools are Oklahoma and Texas A&M. And like I said earlier, he kind of profiles to the smaller town types. Jason Witten has something to do with it because of Tennessee, but I'll be honest with you, getting to talk to Jason and getting to talk to Cooper back in, what was it, Charlie, January or February, I get the impression Jason's very hands-off. Mm-hmm. He's kind of letting Cooper figure this whole thing out on his own, which we've seen that from parents of, the parents that played in the NFL or, in pro sports, be a little bit more, kind of let them figure their way through. You can tell he's not forcing Tennessee at all, but you could tell the kid grew up a Tennessee Vols fan. Like, in his room, there's a color orange. It's not burnt. Like, that's what he kind of grew up around. And so I think Jason has some sway in that regard. But I'm telling you, don't sleep on A&M or Oklahoma. those two staffs have been tremendous with this kid. They have his attention. I would take Tennessee by default right now. Thank goodness these kids don't sign for 15, 16 more months.
Yeah.
Charlie, I've seen some people rank him as a linebacker. I've seen some people rank him as a safety. What do you see him doing at the next level?
I definitely see him at linebacker. I mean, he might have played some safety, at Liberty Christian, but in taps, sometimes the best athlete plays wherever you need him, right? That's why he plays both ways, and that league kind of lets you do that. But I see him profiling as a linebacker. I mean, he's a physical guy. He's an athlete. Honestly, he's a new age linebacker. He can cover in space like a DB, but he's physical. He'll come downhill and strike you like a linebacker. And so already 210 pounds, I can see him putting on 15, 20 more pounds and still being able to move like a DB. I think he profiles as a linebacker easy.
He'll be a linebacker.
Before we keep going, Justin, one more thing. Is he planning to maybe see another Texas game in Austin over the course of?
Yes. The Texas A&M game. That was kind of what Texas had talked to him about. They'd like to get him back. They'd like to get him on campus for a game. He hasn't been to DKR for a football game yet. And they thought, hey, they're thinking, hey, you like Oklahoma? We just whooped them. You like A&M? How about them apples? So the potential, I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up in around Thanksgiving.
Before we keep going, got to show some love to one of our sponsors. The first one is Game Time. Game Time is the absolute best place to get tickets if you're looking for any tickets for any game, whether it be, MLB, when that postseason gets going, no matter where you are, NBA, NHL starting up, Texas Longhorns tickets, whether in Austin or in Lexington or in Starkville or in Athens or anywhere, head to Game Time. You get to see how much the all-in pricing is. You're not surprised by anything at the end. Everything's included in the price. You also get to see where your advantage is with the tickets. No better place to buy tickets. I use it's my first place to go for concerts, sporting events, anything like that. If you use the promo code ON3, ON3, with either the Game Time app or gametime.co, you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Make sure you go to Game Time, the Game Time app, gametime.co, promo code ON3, the best ticket app out there. Justin, we will keep on going. We got to move a little bit over to East Texas at this point. Kavian Bryant, and I may get a little bit of help on this one as we get Homer joining us, I think, in a couple minutes. But Kavian Bryant took in the Red River Shootout. What's the latest on the top quarterback in state?
Top quarterback in state, top quarterback in the country. That's 6'3", 190-pound dual threat, Kavian Bryant. Hey, this kid is so much fun to watch play sports. Like you forget what your job is when you're watching him play football and basketball. He's just an ultimate competitor, ultimate athlete. I had said this before. Vince Young wasn't categorized as a quarterback as a recruit, if you guys remember. He was in the athlete category. He wasn't in the quarterback category. I actually think Kavian Bryant should be the exact same way. I think Kavian should be the number one athlete in the country or in that top conversation. Not to take away he's a quarterback. I just think he's much more of an athlete. That being said, he snuck into that Texas OU game. Texas is not letting up. They want him for 2027. They want him to be the take. This thing is swinging towards Texas Tech right now. They have most of the momentum. They've done a tremendous job in this recruitment. They've got a much clearer path to the field. They feel like, and I think the NIL is going to be substantially more. Florida State is circling the drain. I don't think they're going to be much more of a factor in this recruitment. Colorado was an opportunity to take a vacation to Colorado. So I think it's coming down to Tech and Texas, and I like Texas Tech right now. I think Joey McGuire and those guys have done a tremendous job, and this was his first Red River Shootout. So this was the first time Kavian's got to attend a game with this sort of intensity, this sort of environment and atmosphere, and I was kind of curious how much that would resonate with him. But I think he's already signed, sealed, delivered. I think he's ready to commit to Tech on November 1st. That's his decision date. And I think the Red Raiders are going to get a good one. They're going to have to hold on to him because it's going to be another 15, 16 months before he signs. But Tech, he's still talking to Texas. He still likes Texas. It's just the circumstances in Lubbock are a little bit nicer right now, a little bit better. And honestly, I think that's probably the reason Kavian's going to pick Tech.
Charlie, I got one more question. Then Justin, I got to turn it over to you in just a second. But what's next for Texas? You know, they have their 2026 quarterback in Dia Bell. They've offered a handful of 27s. I think it's like Brady Edmonds, Peyton Houston, one more, and then Kavian Bryant. What do you think kind of happens with quarterback as Texas moves forward in the 2027 class, if and when Bryant chooses Texas Tech? And with that, I'll leave y'all be and hope to hear some better news on quarterback front coming up.
Yeah, look, definitely. I would say this. I think you can find you another bridge guy, right? I think Matthew Caldwell has 1 year. If you don't happen to have a high school kid 27, take a portal guy who can come in and lead the room. It's kind of hard to follow. If you're a 5-star number 1 quarterback and they should follow another one, right? And most time those guys go elsewhere because they want to create their own path. They want to get on the field. And so him coming to sit behind the Dia Bell, you still got KJ Lacey on campus. I think you can find a portal guy to kind of fill in until you find your 28 kid. If you don't like what you have in 27 class, if they decide to go elsewhere. So I think that'll probably be the move. That's probably a move I probably would take. If you don't have a guy that you really like, take a portal guy who can come in with some leadership in the room and be extra eyes on the sideline.
Charlie, I agree with you. We have talked about this because we've known Bryant was kind of trending Tech for a while now. And so we just, at this point, Sark has always had his quarterback take for the previous cycle. Like it's always in that summer area. And when he didn't have it this year, well, we knew he had identified a guy, but the process was taking a little bit longer. And we get a lot of questions. Hey, are they going to take a quarterback in 2027? I think they're going to get one. I just don't know if it's going to be a class of 2027 or if it's going to be a portal guy. Matthew Caldwell has been tremendous this year. Like he is actually he is a really good quarterback especially for a spot guy, a backup. He's done really well for this team. I'm with you, Charlie. I kind of think go into the portal to find an experienced guy to be your backup for Arch. Right. KJ is going to get an extra year. That'll help him out. Mm-hmm. Trey Owens most likely is going to be playing somewhere else in January, and for good reason. And so it's going to leave a hole there. And I don't know if you just want to hand it to KJ to be the backup right now. If Sark has shown us anything, he's not going to do that. He's going to bring in another veteran. And so that's what I'm anticipating them bringing in a portal guy for the class of 2027 and then going big in 28. Right. We know how much they like Neiman Lawrence, the big quarterback out of Florida for 2028. They love him. I think there's better options at quarterback in 2028. I think that's another reason they're not just diving all in on somebody in 2027. The quarterback class is down pretty hard. And so I could see them going 2028. And I think you're right, Charlie. I think they're going to stay in the portal. Texas is climbing up from behind when it comes to Witten, when it comes to Bryant. Now John Meredith. Now it's the best corner we've seen in 2027. He just got a Wiltfong RPM to Texas A&M. The Aggies have been pushing hard. Right. They're pushing some of these kids really hard. And it sounds like, Charlie, you had heard something yesterday, even before Wiltfong had posted what he did, that Meredith and A&M were trending.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, A&M has been really, really aggressive behind the scenes for Meredith, making him a priority guy. I think really going to an A&M game, and I think they've had 3 home games back to back to back, and it's like they have had and great atmospheres, right? Yes, and fill out crowds, and those guys got to go witness that. Him, Meredith, and a host of other guys have, and so he really likes what A&M is doing. Like the scheme wise, they play a ton of man. Well, he's a corner. He wants to play man. He wants to get up and press. He wants to press, bump and run, and shut people down and put them on the island. A&M. Elko really is able to sell that scheme, but I think they're just being super aggressive. They made him the priority target. I think Texas is not going to give up on this kid. I think a great game for him to visit. He hasn't visited yet. Will be the Texas and Texas A&M game. I'm sure Texas will work to get him on there. But as of right now, man, A&M has really just stepped out so much the leader in this recruitment just because they've been so aggressive. And I wanted to say when it first started out, it wasn't that way. They just flipped on the switch and said, we got to have this kid. And he really liked what A&M is selling and pitching to him right now. And like I said, they've been aggressive in the DFW area. I think they know they have to be. And they got to kind of lean on some success they're having right now, right? If they feel like Texas is down or started out rocky, hey, we got to kind of jump on those guys and get an early lead on the 27 kids. And so they've been aggressive, recruiting, NIL, the whole 9. And so I think Meredith is just really, really feeling that. And we talked about it, him and John Turntine pretty much are like cousins, grew up together. Their families are really, really close. I know A&M was not giving up on Turntine either.
Uh-oh.
But,
oh, man.
Yeah. But as they call it, Merida, they call him John John. You know, I know when I first talked to turn times at the scrimmage earlier in the year, they was like, yeah, John John's like our cousin. We're gonna try to get him to Texas, but he's really feeling Austin, and so you never know how that thing could go. But he really likes A&M at this point. I feel like that's why Will Fung went ahead and put the Fung bomb in on him.
Very much so. And that brings us back to class of 2026 real quick. Like, yeah, there are still guys committed to Texas. We know this that are getting the full sell. Corey Wells was at Auburn last weekend that they continue to push in that regard. Dylan Berryman was at Ole Miss a couple weeks ago. They continue to push. Miami really likes Derek Cooper and James Johnson. They're kind of nipping at the heels for those guys. And so, but I think you're right with Turntine. I think he's happy where he's at. I think that relationship with Flood is sustainable and that sort. I do know this. I like Roback, and I like it even more when my producer throws it to the commercial.
There's only one way to describe Roback. Best fit, best feel. For those who aren't familiar with Roback, they are completely changing the game with their incredibly comfortable activewear. Roback has released so many items within their new licensed game day collection, and it's our favorite. With novel polo designs and clean hoodie and Q-zip designs from some of your favorite schools like Texas, it's definitely worth checking out. Nobody else on the market is pairing these level of custom designs with this quality of activewear. Roback's everyday shorts or their Delta Performance pants are the perfect pairing as well. Both are super comfortable, have an elastic waistband, and great fabric that's made to have the appearance of a nice short look, but the comfort for a day on the move. Roback has also been proudly leading the NIL charge, having signed partnerships with multiple college football stars like Quinn Ewers. They are becoming the go-to brand for college athletes across the country. Use the code TEXAS20 on Roback.com for a generous 20% off for all new customers through the end of this week. That's RHOBACK.com and 20% off all performance polos, shorts, and more with Texas20.
Thank you very much, Joseph, for that little run. I got to tell you, I'm a big fan of Roback. And so, let's wrap it up a little bit. Some catching up to do with those top guys in 2027. 2026 are the guys that they need, that I think most fans are the most worried about right now. And they're not necessarily worried, but that's on their mind. We can even tell that at Inside Texas. More people are curious about that. You said John Turntine, A&M is still pushing for that kid. I'm looking at it like this. Jalen Lott, what does Texas need to do to get him back on campus? And because they're continuing to push there, what do you think they need to do to get that flip is there? There's just something missing, I feel like. What do you tell me about it?
I think you got to find the right angle. Who is the decision maker? Is it mom? Is it dad? Like, you got to figure out that relationship, the one that, who ear you can grab that can get to Jalen. And I think, depending, I'm sure they have a great relationship with all the parents and Jalen himself, but who is it? Is it mom? Is mom making the decision maker? Is the decision maker in the family? Then talk to her more. Is dad more hands off and say, hey, I'm going to let my son make a decision? Well, still love on him a bit, but you got to work whatever angle you can to kind of get him on campus again. Maybe you just continue to work their relationship. You never know how this thing may play out to December. So you just got to keep trying. I don't know if anybody plays NCAA. Like, you got to take points off and apply it somewhere else. Like, you got to use something to get in Lott's ear. Use whatever angle you can legally and try to get him to come, try to get him to flip to come to Texas. And you got great examples, right? You can see how, hey, we need you in the receiving room. We need some playmakers. Well, there's your selling point. There's your selling pitch, right? We can use you right now. We can use you in the return game, like all over the field.
Oh, man.
And so just different ways. Use whatever angle you can right now to try to get Lott to get him to flip in December.
I actually think the one of the best angles is the two-sport angle, because I know that he wants to run track.
Yeah.
And that he could do that very well at Texas. And so I think that's something else that the Horns are kind of looking at. They have already been selling him on that, but since he's been primary on the wide receiver take, I think that's a nice angle. I think that's something that would get his attention, because I believe his father was the exact same way, if I remember correctly. And so Texas is going to continue to work on Jalen Lott. They're getting closer, but I'm not calling in for a flip just yet. We're tentatively monitoring that. That's another recruiting intel. Eric, Joe, Ian, this is Charlie. I go through them all. They're like brothers, so I go through them all. But hey, Texas OU was a blast. Kentucky is up next. This one's going to be fun. Be sure and tune in to Inside Texas. We'll have the preview. We'll have the pregame show. We'll have the postgame show. We'll have all the good stuff for Kentucky, getting ready to head to Lexington and face those guys. Charlie and I, we're going to handle the recruiting side of it this week. We got some more stuff coming up this week. And the next visitor list is going to be for November 1st for Vanderbilt. And that's not, what's funny? That's not that far away, Charlie.
Oh,
I remember thinking at the beginning of the season, man, Vanderbilt, November, it's just too far away now. It's going to creep up on us. It's right around the corner. And the Horns have some really good guys coming in for that trip. Notably, number 1 tight end in the country, Ahmad Hudson out of Ruston, Louisiana. Big 6'7" tight end. And so we're going to keep you up on that. But be sure and come see us at InsideTexas.com. We're running a special right now. If you sign up right now for $1, you get all the good stuff that you need. It really is a cool time to jump in. The offense is starting to click. The defense is playing out of their mind. And recruiting still has a top 5 class in the class of 2026. So come see us at InsideTexas.com. That's the only reason on that graphic that you need to come see us. Charlie Williams, thank you so much. Joe Cook, we miss you. We know you're working on something big. If you guys are watching and listening to the show right now, you probably need to go to InsideTexas.com in the next few minutes because he's got something coming up. Until then, thank you for joining us on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com.